A lot of people may look up here and say, what's that old Master Chief doing up on the podium? Is it because he survived the 5K? No, I'm a survivor. And I'm going to share a little bit of my story with you. Back in 1988, before some of you were born, I was a young third class in C school in Dam Neck, Virginia. And I was involved with the Catholic Youth Organization, and I was raped by a Catholic chaplain in the Navy. I sat there watching the Summer Olympics of 1988. Couldn't say no, was so shocked, didn't know what to do. So I left and called my mother and said, "Mom, this is what happened, what do I do?" And my mom said, "Keep your mouth shut." I came to find out years later that my mother was a survivor also, but hers happened back in 1968, where things may have been a little bit different. I went to my first class, FC1, and told him what happened. His children were involved in that Catholic Youth Organization also. He didn't know what to do. We didn't have a savvy SAPR or any type of program back in 1988. He did what he thought was best. He took me to the senior chief. I told the story of the senior chief, who took me to lieutenant commander, who took me to the XO, took me to the CO. I had to tell the story over and over again. At that point, I was turned over to NCIS. I was kind of in shock. I didn't quite tell the whole story, which made me feel even guiltier about what was going on. They used me in the investigation, and then I ended up testifying at that court-martial. It was found out that there were other young sailors and some minors that were involved. I knew what was right. I knew it was right to go forward and tell my story. And then after testifying at the court-martial, I ended up in the hospital for a week and a half with bleeding ulcers, couldn't eat anything. Went home and my mom said, "See, I told you, keep your mouth shut." For 20 years I kept my mouth shut. And then from a senior chief over at AirPac now, Senior Chief LaShawn Williams asked me in conversation, we were talking, and I went and spoke at my first victim advocate training out at Point Loma. I had been a victim advocate myself. I'd been a savvy coordinator. I'd been a point of contact. I'd done all the programmatic stuff, but I never shared my story. So I went and I shared it. It was hard, and I cried. And I have spoken at these programs up at Whidbey Island and Everett when we were up in the yards. And I have decided that I'm not ashamed anymore, because I am a survivor, and I refuse to be quiet. If I get up and speak, even though I'm uncomfortable, and it helps one person, then I've done my job. Then I helped one other person become a survivor and not a victim. If I give a victim advocate some hope in that what they're doing is the right thing to do, even though it's hard sometimes, then I have done my job. If I enforce a chain of command, the senior enlisted, the senior officers, and those that support this program to continue to do that, then I have done my job. We have come a long way in the Navy. And the IGs came to the Navy many years ago to see how we were doing our job, because we were the first to start speaking out and setting programs in place to stop sexual assaults. So I will continue to speak out. I am proud to be a survivor, not a victim. And if it helps anybody, my speaking out, then I have done my job. And I want to thank all the victim advocates that are here today, and Lori and her crew for supporting all of us that went through that time. To have someone walk with you and help you and be there with you is the biggest strength and help that you can ever get. So thank you so much.